Hello and welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. Thank you for joining us once again. I am Lydia Ojije-Ochi. Our first report from London says Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has opened talks with his counterpart in the United Kingdom in an effort to fast-track the return of Nigeria's Ife bronze stolen from the Just National Museum over 30 years ago. Anthony Forson has more.
The minister, whose visit to the United Kingdom was tied to media engagement, took time out of his tight schedule to visit the United Kingdom's Under-Secretary of State for Culture, Heritage and Tourism, where he presented Nigeria's case. Lai Mohammed, after the closed-door meeting, spoke on the outcome of his meeting, beginning with the brick wall being put up by the Belgian in whose possession the artifact was found while attempting to dispose it.
The object was put on the red list, which means it cannot be traded, it cannot be exchanged, it cannot be bought. So when these items surfaced in the UK, the auction house promptly notified the UK Metropolitan Police, who notified the UNESCO, and we were, notified through our UNESCO permanent representative. And since then, we've been pursuing the return of this artifact to Nigeria.
He, however, said the Belgian government on its part isn't making the process easy for Nigeria.
Regrettably, the Belgian authority claimed that they were not a party to the UNESCO convention at the time this item was bought by a Belgian. And then the Belgian buyer is also hiding under the provision of being buyer in good faith and asking for compensation from us. As a matter of fact, he's asking for €5 million for an object that he purchased for €240. Our position is that he's not a buyer in good faith, because he's not just an ordinary buyer, he's a collector.
Expressing satisfaction with the meeting, the minister said any form of litigation has been ruled out.
This is not necessarily a matter that should go to court. It's a matter that can be resolved, working within the provisions of the UNESCO 1970 Convention.
For now, Lai Mohammed said, with the cooperation extended to Nigeria by the United Kingdom Metropolitan Police since the matter came up, Nigeria will rely on UK in line with UNESCO's convention as a signatory to return the object to Nigeria under Article 7 of UNESCO Convention, which stipulates that any such objects found in any country which is a member of the convention, diplomatic channels shall be explored to return such objects to the country of source. In London, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
And back home, the federal government has commenced the mop-up of excess food items in circulation, especially grains, with a view to stabilizing the price of food items. And the food items are being stored in federal government strategic grain reserves in the country. Musa Baba Ali reports that the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Mohammed Sabo Nanono, was in Gusau, Zamfara State to inspect the exercise.
It is a 9.4 billion naira project set aside by the federal government to stock the country's silos with assorted food in case of an emergency. This is based on the United Nations recommendation that countries should keep substantial amounts of what will last for at least 3 days in case of an emergency. The food items are to be kept in 6 of the 33 silos, which have the capacity to store more than 1 million tons of grains. This grain reserve located in Gusau is 100,000 metric tons capacity, and it has already been stocked with 23,000 tons of maize and sorghum.
We've been able to mop up almost 54,000 metric tons. We have them here in Zamfara, we have in Lafia, and we have in Mina.
Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Mohammed Sabo Nanono, described the initiative as a move to ensure Nigeria is more food secured.
This year, from all indications, we have a bumper harvest, and we are going to study the situation, and if it warrants us intervening again, we will, in order to stabilize the prices at the farm gate as well as in the market.
It is the hope of the federal government that buying of excess grains from farmers will go a long way in boosting their income. From Gusau, Zamfara State, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
We now go to matters concerning health. The federal government will soon launch emergency contact response with a view to controlling outbreak of diseases in the country. The Minister of Health, Dr. Osagi Ehanire, dropped this hint during a visit to Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital to receive first-hand information on the recent Lassa virus outbreak that claimed the lives of 2 doctors in the hospital. Yahanasu Hassan Barau was there for NTA News and now reports.
The minister's visit to Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital is to commiserate with government and people of the state over the demise of 2 doctors, Dr. Habib Musa Muhammad, a consultant anesthesiologist, and Dr. Kulthum Abba, a house officer who died after they contacted Lassa virus in the course of discharging their duties. This development has provided a springboard for the federal government to take far-reaching measures in curtailing the disease outbreak.
No one should panic. Those who are responsible for looking into the occurrence of this disease are working and for detection, prevention, and also response.
More than 100 people are now under close supervision to prevent further spread of the disease.
Classify as high-risk category will be placed on medication. That medication will prevent development of the disease itself. At the same time, also will be recording your body temperature just in case the disease will develop again, which is very, very unlikely.
The minister also inspected the intensive care unit at the hospital, equipped with state-of-the-art facility to suit the emerging trend. He also took his time to visit the families of the deceased over the demise of their loved ones and prayed for the repose of their gentle soul. Meanwhile, activities at the Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital resumed fully after a partial closure of some units following the outbreak of Lassa fever. In Kano, Yahanasa Hasambaro, NTA.
As the world grapples with the recent outbreak of the coronavirus, health experts have called on Nigerians to take precautionary measures such as environmental sanitation to prevent the disease as well as Lassa fever. Daniel Aderie reports that they also advocate adequate sensitization in curtailing the scourge.
Current increase in cases of Lassa fever across parts of the country is eliciting concern from many, including these guests on Good Morning Nigeria. Though they agree that progress is being made in curtailing the scourge, they insist that concerted efforts beyond what is currently on ground must be in place to help find lasting solutions to mitigate the effects.
I won't put it as a spread because it's there, it occurs, and if it's carried by a vector, and the vector during the dry season begins to invade homes when food is scarce, that's when you see more cases. Research is going on all of it, and there's progress on vaccines against Lassa, which is being done in collaboration with IRWA and foreign researchers.
Like food items cannot be vehicles for the transmission of this illness, but people are encouraged to cook the food items properly simply because the cooking raises the temperature high to such an extent that probably the viruses die.
They also highlighted factors such as rural-urban migration and an increase in the quantity of food produce being transported across the country as reasons for the upsurge in the cases being witnessed across the country. They also pointed that proper and prompt diagnosis can help cushion the adverse effects.
The more people move around from where there's an infection and where they have had a contact with an infected person to another place, the more likely they would take that disease from that place to the new place where they have gone.
In extreme cases, when you begin to have bleeding from orifices, from the nose, from the ear, from the mouth, people who don't bleed from the gum before, we begin to following just brushing. At that point, a clinician managing such case must raise his or her index of suspicion and must call for help.
They, however, called for continuous sensitization and education on the dangers of poor hygiene.
Thanks, Daniel, for that report. Abdullahi Mustafa is standing by to give us an update on the outbreak of Lassa fever in Kano. Abdullahi, if you can hear me clearly, what is the current situation following the outbreak of Lassa fever in your state, which claimed, unfortunately, the lives of 2 doctors at Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital?
Lydia, the situation is actually under control from the information gathered from the Ministry of Health, Kano State, and Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital, because the first index case was discovered in the hospital during an operation on a pregnant woman that a referral from another health facility. So those 2 doctors who died and the patient who was operated upon, so no any other case has been reported. And you may be aware, and in the course of that report that preceded the last one, 292 suspected contacts were placed under surveillance. So from the information obtained this afternoon, 19 have been cleared that they are not in any way have any suspicious symptoms of Lassa fever virus. And those people were those who had contact with the first index person and the doctors who died as a result of the contact with the patients.
Hold on, Abdullah, for a minute. Let's hear from Jane Francis Obi in Oka. Jane, if you can hear me clearly, is an outbreak of the virus who has been reported in Oka. What is the situation there?
The situation is under control. The state is doing all it can to contain it. However, there is no panic. In the school community, the students are going about their normal academic businesses.
Okay, that's nice to know. Okay, still hold on, Jane. We'll get back to you. Abdullahi, if you can hear me clearly, was there any policy statement by the health minister as per new strategies being adopted by government in containing the disease?
Okay, during the minister's visit, and he was at the Kano government, the Ministry Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital, and after going around and being briefed by the Chief Medical Director and the Commissioner of Health, he gave an assurance that the measures taken earlier, even before his visit, that is the introduction of services from the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, who took samples and conducted examination and gave the report that confirmed the incidence of the Lassa virus in the deceased doctors' samples taken. He gave assurance that all international best practices regarding response to epidemic disease outbreak are being taken and will continue to be enhanced in all parts of the country, and particularly Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital, where the incidents occurred, that other drugs as well as personal protective equipment have been provided for all doctors and other medical personnel, so that there will be no any outbreak in case of any eventuality, actually. And he also disclosed plans by the federal government, that is the Ministry of Health, to launch an emergency contact response center, so that any emergency outbreak of a deadly disease like this one, like Lassa, before it gets out of hand, necessary measures, response will be taken, and so that the lives of medical personnel and other citizens will be protected.
Abdullahi Mustafa reporting from Kano. Thank you for that update. We now go back to Jane in Oka. What has become of the patient who contracted the virus, and what has been the reaction of the people in Oka?
The patient was taken to viral center in Pedro Teaching Hospital, Abakaliki, Ebonyi State. According to the Anambra State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Vincent Wapala, she's responding to treatment. The military has decontaminated the ward where the patient was treated, and the people that had contact with her were also isolated, checked, and there was no virus detected.
Now, what preventive measures are being taken by the appropriate authorities in containing further spread of the disease?
Before the case was reported, emergency and surveillance center has been set up a week.
Okay.
And the commissioner has also advised that any fever that has refused to be treated within 48 hours should be reported to the Ministry of Health.
Thank you so much, Jane, for that update. We're grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Moving on Nationwide, following the declaration of the novel coronavirus as a public health emergency by the World Health Organization, the Federal Ministry of Health has set up a surveillance team to help contain the virus, should it be imported into the country at the various entry points. The Ministers of Health and Information and Culture, however, reiterated the federal government's commitment in preventing any outbreak.
Without the support of state governments, particularly those states hosting international points of entry, they are all represented here today, pleased to note. Our ministry is finalizing plans with the Enugu, Lagos, Kano, Rivers states and FCT authorities to enhance surveillance, preparedness and response activities in their states.
We would need a lot of public enlightenment, and this is why I think I would need the help of not just NTA, FRCN, NANAMVON, but even the private media, because this virus, this epidemic would not make a distinction between the private and the public people. Also, we need also to let people who travel know that there's need for absolute transparency and absolute honesty when they are filling their forms. Some people don't take.
Elizabeth Amori reports that the Minister of Health also explained that there are speculations of the virus in 2 neighboring countries, raising the need for Nigerians to pay critical attention to their overall hygiene and surveillance. More on health matters. With federal government's intensified efforts to reduce maternal mortality, Nigerian nurses and midwives advocate greater investment in the nursing and midwifery workforce. The body at the launching of the Nursing Now Nigeria logo also emphasized giving prominence to healthcare services policies. Elizabeth Amori, who also was at the event, and now reports that President Muhammadu Buhari was honored for his contributions towards the growth of the Nigerian health sector.
Health, they say, is wealth. And the health of an individual, if compromised, can have consequences. The expertise of healthcare givers can also determine the quality of services patients receive. To this end, frontline healthcare givers are adopting several strategies to reposition and rid the medical profession of quackery. Latest among the strategies is the launch of the Nursing Now Nigeria campaign logo and the kickoff of the 2020 Year of the Nurse and Midwife.
This strategy will provide needed skilled manpower for safe delivery of service, encouraging greater investment in the nursing workforce, recruiting more nurses into leadership positions, conducting research that helps determine where nurses can have the greatest impact, and sharing of best nursing practices.
Aminu and Oluwafunmilayo are critical assets to achieving the SDG 3 goal. To them, remuneration and security are critical to their performance.
There's gross shortage of nurses in the country compared with the number of patients that we are assigned to be taken care of.
So far we have professors among us, we have educated people among us, then we should be able to build our own empire.
As a quack in Nigeria, the penalty is just too ridiculous. Just around 1,000 naira as a penalty or 6 months imprisonment. This has not helped to eradicate the issue of quack and quackery practices.
The Nursing Now Nigeria campaign is a 3-year program expected to help the likes of Aminu and Oluwafunmilayo tackle the 21st century health challenges and become better professionals in their sector. Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
The next report from Jos says relief has been reaching the families of victims of attack in Quarters village of Bokos local government area to cushion the hardship they are going through. The recent coming from the lawmaker representing Plateau Central Zone, who berated the attack and lent his voice that the National Assembly will soon evolve necessary legislative instruments to intensify community policing as a mechanism in curbing these attacks on innocent Nigerians. Kim Gotts reports.
Plateau Central Senatorial District has recently been under attacks, leading to loss of lives and property. The recent, which occurred in Quarters Village, Marish and Sabon Barki communities in Bokos local government area, has continued to raise concerns on how to clear trenches of Aslan's hideouts through effective community policing. Senator representing Plateau Central Senatorial District Hezekiah Dimka took out time to condole victims of Quarters Village at Bokos Cottage Hospital and over 200 internally displaced persons in camp, where he made cash and relief material donations. The lawmaker described the attack as provocative and called for a razor-edged security system to tackle internal insecurity in the area.
We have to put our heads together and be sure that we have something good that will protect our people. Our security agencies are all around. The military, the police, SDSS, they're all everywhere, even vigilante. Advise people to remain calm.
He also assured the people of Plateau Central of collaboration with his colleagues at the Red Chambers to bring to an end the attacks in the state. These attacks are coming in the wake of series of peace efforts by government to ensure lasting peace returns to the state. In Jos, Kim Gotts, NTA News.
This is NTA Nationwide. Over now to Lagos studio for reports making rounds in that zone. Over to you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Lydia, and welcome to Lagos.
Thank you, Lydia.
Now, 100 tons of drugs and psychotropic substances have been destroyed by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency as part of its strategic efforts to addressing the drug menace as well as promoting national security and health of the citizens. Imolayo Tukede reports that the exercise was carried out in the command's premises at Ibereko Badagry.
This mountain of forfeited drugs contain 770 kilograms of cocaine, 272 kilograms of heroin, 8,278 kilograms of tramadol, 54,385 kilograms of cannabis, and 2,281 kilograms of cat. 1,071 kilograms belongs to methamphetamine, ephedrine, and other psychotropic substances. They are exhibits seized by various commands and units of NDLEA formations in Lagos. According to the chairman of NDLEA, Colonel Muhammad Abdallah, Lagos State is filled majorly with youths, which contributes immensely to the high rates of drug abuse.
This is one major area Lagos State government can intervene by supporting the NDLEA to build the center in order to enable these drug-dependent persons to live a productive life once again.
My organisation, the National Crime Agency, are fully supportive of the NDLEA in what they do.
The exercise, which signifies the final stage of case handling after which suspects involved have been convicted, was carried out after foreign collaborators and sister security agencies had signed the certificates to commence destruction. The agency further appealed to the public to identify with its efforts to curb the menace by staying away from drug trafficking, drug abuse and other acts that are injurious to the society. In Lagos, Imole Ayotukide, NTA News.
Away from drug law enforcement, now the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has flagged off the state's He for She campaign at Alausa. Nasser Sula reports that the He for She campaign is a United Nations initiative that rallies the support of men to fight gender inequality in the world.
Over the years, issues of gender inequality have been a major concern to stakeholders in Nigeria as the present society has redefined the role of a woman, which is vastly different from what it used to be in the Middle Ages.
Man should be ahead of woman, even in the Bible. Woman should submit to the husband.
We have lots of men who can do what women could do, and women also who could do way much more than what men could do.
God has made man to be the head, and out of the a rib of a man, that's where the woman came from.
We are all equal.
Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu explained that gender equality is achieved when women and men enjoy the same rights and opportunities across all sectors of the society.
Why would we want to disenfranchise a total half? It's like you're having two hands and you decide not to recognize one of them. And you decide to only use one hand when you have two hands to do so many things. So it's a very simple analysis for we men to understand and to realize that it's only when we work with our two hands that we'll be able to do better work.
The governor was decorated with the title of Chief Gender Champion of the state, while superstar Pato Rankin, as well as some prominent residents, were decorated with the title of Gender Champion. In Lagos, Dosa Osula, NTA News.
That's all for now from Lagos. Nationwide continues after the break.
Thanks for staying tuned to Nationwide. Let's now join Zule in Kaduna for more reports. Zule, over to you.
Lydia, good evening and welcome to Kaduna. A pre-project sensitization for the reconstruction of Matari Dam in Soba local government area of Kaduna State has been carried out by the Ecological Fund Office. Major Madamu reports that the host communities were up in jubilation as they look forward to the revival of their economic life wire, which is expected to again propel agricultural and allied activities in the area.
Nasiru Haruna would have been a hopeful, happy farmer with his vegetable farm edging towards harvest. He is in reality a frustrated fellow as the source of water that sustains his farm is drying up.
Our major challenge is inadequate water for irrigation.
It is the same fate that befalls many such farmers here in Matari who depend largely on agriculture, especially irrigation farming that earns them extra income. They now have every cause to jubilate as the Ecological Fund Office awards this contract for the reconstruction of their failed multipurpose dam, a contract that promises to recoup their lost fortunes. The fund, however, needs to extract from them a commitment for partnership and ownership of the project as a guarantee for successful execution of the work. Hence, this sensitization message sent by the Permanent Secretary, Ecological Fund Office.
The essence of this meeting, in a nutshell, is to emphasize the need for peaceful and conducive atmosphere, devoid of rancor and acrimony, to enable contractors timely deliver good and quality projects for the benefits of your communities.
The community, through the chairman of the local government council, assured the federal government of their commitment to the project.
It is going to boost the economic viability of the local government and the community too. So it's a very important project. We want to thank the federal government once more again.
This great promise for a project that symbolizes prosperity would not have come at a better time for Nasiru Haruna and his fellow farmers, who knew the benefits of the dam before it collapsed many years back. Majama Adamu, NTA News.
Changing trends of journalism practice towards promoting development journalism with speed and accuracy using information communication technology in line with global best practices was the thrust of a one-day symposium organized by a Nigerian Union of Journalists, Jigawa State Council. Ibrahim Belogunda reports that the Director General of National Information Technology Development Agency, NIDA, Kashifu Inu Abdullahi, delivered the key paper at the event.
Journalism, like many professions, is witnessing revolution in its practice, and one of the greatest changes taking place is as a result of changes around the world brought by information communication technology and digital age technology. Hence the symposium on the impact of technology in changing the trends of journalism in developing countries. Key lecturer and Director General, National Information Technology Development Agency, NIDA, Kashifu Inu Abdullahi, dwelt extensively on how the world has become a global village with information including news easily shared, how such information on social media is affecting journalistic ethics.
We need to be sure of what we are sharing on the social media. We need to be sure of the objectivity. We need to verify the information.
Paper reviewer Dr. Lawal Yunus Adanzomu, Dr. Muhammad Hassan and other speakers spoke on the need to move with reality of global changes in journalism to address societal challenges.
We feel it is pertinent to organize this symposium to our members to enable them go along with the current journalism trend across the globe.
The symposium will no doubt set the pace for successful migration to global journalistic trends. In Dutse, Ibrahim Belogunda, NTA News.
That's our bit from here. It's back to Lydia in Abuja for more on Nationwide.
Many thanks, Zile. Efficient implementation of the Treasury single account at all levels of governance is another way to generate revenue for provision of the desired infrastructure needed in the country. This is the view of Treasury stakeholders at the launch of a book on Treasury single account policy in Nigeria. Benny Adams has that one.
Money is a resource everyone desires. Even governments are not left out. The full implementation of the Treasury single account in 2016 came handy for government. ₦1 trillion has been remitted to government coffers since then.
It is important that some national government key into any reform of the federal government, because Nigeria is one economy, and for the economy to keep moving forward, certainly all hands must be on deck.
All these wastages have been eliminated. Now we have Treasury single account. Government has a pocket that will look at and say, as of today, this is what we have.
This success story is what Salau Zubeiru wants replicated at all levels of government. And he believes putting his thoughts and experiences in a book might do just that. The book, a 6-chapter revelation, centers on public financial management, with the first chapter X-raying the TSA policy, another its operations in Nigeria, Brazil, Indonesia, and Uganda, then another on the current state of implementation of the policy in the country.
I also want to appeal to the National University Commission, the National Board for Technical Education, and the professional accountancy bodies to update their syllabi.
For the book reviewer, Professor Kabiru Dandago, the knowledge contained in the book should be shared with institutions of learning across the country. TSA is an IMF-recommended financial policy where all government funds are collected in one account. In Abuja, Benny Adams, NTA News.
And from Ebonyi comes a report that says increasing equitable access for out-of-school children in Ebonyi State is being addressed through the distribution of 23,200 copies of early instructional materials to schools across the state. Emmanuel Nwizi reports that the state government's gesture through Better Education Service Delivery Program is in tandem with the federal government's policy on education.
Apart from taking care of challenges of out-of-school children, Better Education Service Delivery for All is designed to improve literacy and strengthen the education sector. The flag-off of the first phase meant for 7 local government areas by the Deputy Governor, Dr. Kelechi Igwe, became necessary for the overall development of mankind.
This book can declare that it shall aid qualitative teaching in Ebonyi State
It shall encourage proper learning in Ebonyi State schools, and it will produce results.
Representative of the Executive Secretary, Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC, Chris Nwa-Uju, and other critical stakeholders in the sector lauded government's initiative in educational development of the country.
UBEC, by its mandate, is ready to support any educational program that is aimed at improving the Nigerian child.
These books are given to them free. Master teachers have already been trained how to use this book.
Ebonyi is among the 17 states currently benefiting from BESDA program in the country. In Abakaliki, Emmanuel Mwiji, NTA News.
You're still watching Nationwide. Agatha in Benin, tell us what is trending in Benin and its environs.
Lydia, good evening and a warm welcome to Benin. The National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, Edo State Command, now has a custodial center to aid the process of combating human trafficking. The center was inaugurated by the British High Commissioner represented. Ivio Yakiri reports.
The newly constructed NAPTIP custody suite comprises interview rooms, furnished with cameras for visual recordings of confessionals, reception rooms, and victims' rooms. The British High Commissioner, represented by the Deputy High Commissioner, Lagos, expressed delight over the quality of work done.
This facility particularly is so important for the safeguarding of the victims of human trafficking, who have already been through so much. For them then to come back to Nigeria, it's so important for them to be looked after properly, to have that separation between themselves and the people who are responsible for these crimes.
For NAPTIP, their support in getting the building done is a boost for them to further their cause.
Our awareness creation shall take another dimension in that we shall be invading villages, communities, and other settlements in remote endemic areas across the country.
The representatives of the British High Commissioner thereafter proceeded to the Government House, where the governor reiterated his desire to collaborate with the British government in checking the menace of human trafficking. The British and the Edo State government also agreed to synergize in building the economic prosperity of the state. In Benin, Ivie Oyahiri, NTA News.
The Federal Road Maintenance Agency in Delta State is working around the clock to ensure that federal roads in the state have a facelift. Repairs are ongoing on dilapidated sections in Asaba, Ugeli, and the east-west roads. Part of the rehabilitation efforts on the highways include the repair of failed sections, construction of concrete drain at Okayu Town along Asaba-Onitsha Expressway, the silting of concrete drain and carriageway shoulders at Okpanam Junction.
Some people they do the road and they try the road, they okay.
At Efrun, Ugeli and Patani axis, the agency also carried out repairs on failed sections, giving facelift and free flow of traffic in the affected areas. Director of FEMA in Delta State, Daniel Oje, says attention will soon be shifted to the Benin-Warri Highway. The agency hopes to cover the 13 federal roads in Delta State within the shortest possible time in the ongoing rehabilitation of roads across the country. That ends our package. Lydia, it's back to you.
Many thanks, Agatha. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo this Friday speaks on the economic dimension of national security, the Nigerian experience. Addressing participants of the Nigerian Defense College Course 28 in Abuja, the Vice President says it is of utmost importance for government at all levels to support the needy and the vulnerable, as this will galvanize expected results on efforts to grow the economy and lift the people out of poverty. State House correspondent Jide Onifade has more.
Governments all over the world, as Vice President Yemi Osinbajo notes, now focus on the needs of the people as a form of security, as against the old belief that national security is the protection of the people from external and internal aggression only.
The sole objective of man is to live.
To live, he needs food, shelter, and clothing. To do so, he must have the means to earn enough. Where the means are unavailable, his natural instinct is to survive. And of course, that brings about desperation and alienation from society, which makes him potentially a risk to the community.
Latest actions of the Nigerian government in providing decent living for the people, the Vice President explains, is the focus on the private sector towards addressing the challenge of unemployment. Government, he stresses, must provide infrastructure and enabling environment for the private sector, as the Buhari administration is presently doing.
The main policy challenge which we have will be to shape our national security calculus, both now and in the future, to that of creating social and economic opportunity on a scale that not only matches our population growth rate, but also the aspirations of our people, especially the young people. Improving human capital development, especially education, and providing more opportunities for earning a living will reduce the number of young persons available for recruitment into the ranks of Boko Haram and ISWAP and terrorists of that nature.
And as the Vice President says, man is central to the development of the nation, pointing out how young men and women are being supported by government, and the result of which he says is the incredible performance by them, and are now occupying space which was long left unoccupied. Course 28 was inaugurated on the 23rd of September 2019. From the National Defense College in Abuja, Jide Onifade, NT News.
It's time for a final. Thanks for staying. Let's quickly join Pam for more reports in Makurdi. Pam.
Thanks and welcome to Makurdi. Normalcy has been restored to Tiomu settlement after a communal clash between alleged indigents and settlers, which led to the destruction of houses and other property on Monday this week. The Commissioner of Police, Garba Mukada, says the quick response from the security personnel stopped what could have been a general crisis in the area. Elias Itia reports.
Mu community is a suburb of Makurdi, the Benue State capital, and for some time now, the community has been in dispute over alleged land ownership between indigents and settlers of the community, a situation that had led to a series of litigations in courts. However, the recent hostilities in the community were said to have been triggered due to misunderstanding at a brick production site, leading to the destruction of several houses and other properties.
I feel bad. No leader will accept any crisis in his own area.
The level of destruction my people have suffered is something that is unimaginable.
The Benue State Police Command quickly deployed personnel to de-escalate the crisis.
People that are living, I've told them to exercise calm and remain. We will take charge of the situation.
The visit of the Secretary to the State Government, Mr. Tony Ejoho, also helped to douse tension in the area.
Right now, we're going back to continue our meeting to map out strategies that we feel will be permanently settle this matter once and for all.
For now, normalcy has been restored due to security presence to enable residents go about their businesses. In Makurdi, Elias, ETF, NT News.
That's the much you can take from Makurdi. Now let's go on. Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum is extending the search for partnership to rebuild parts of the state ravaged by insurgency to the National Directorate of Employment. Onenge Fineface reports that conversations centered on job creation initiatives for youth in the state.
Insurgency triggered severe humanitarian crisis in northeastern Nigeria. Families are displaced with devastating social and economic consequences. Borno State Governor Babagana Umara Zulum believes that in addition to providing military solutions to dislodge insurgents in the area, great emphasis should be placed on solving the root causes of the crisis, which include poverty, illiteracy, social inequality, among others. His visit to the National Directorate of Employment is to solicit support from the Directorate to provide needed skills for youth in the state through entrepreneurial trainings, a request NDE is willing to oblige.
Interfacing with the National Directorate of Employment,
will open vista of opportunities for us to see how genuinely we can train our youth.
National Directorate of Employment had already selected 1,000 indigenes of Borno as beneficiaries of ongoing training programs. In Abuja, on Nengiye Fine Face, NTA News.